Denny Lowe and I joked last night that if I got his name included in my speech somehow, he would owe me a beer. So Denny, I'll see you at the bar tonight. So what does it mean to be agile? We've done agile in the state of Maine for about the last 3 years now. And this is kind of how I felt we started out. We're trying to be agile, we're trying to have some agility, but we were not quite there yet. So what does it really mean to be agile? Well, the definition most people know of agile is a time box, iterative approach to software development that's built incrementally and from the beginning of the project versus the waterfall where it's done typically delivered at the end. So you got to look at also agile from not just the project level, which a lot of people do. You got to look at it from the technical level, the project level, and also the organizational level. It's about a cultural shift within your organization if you truly want to implement agile. So you got to look at your processes and your procedures as well to make sure that they support agile and incremental development. If not, then you run into some blockers. So typically with your people, and I've heard it quite a few times, agile's a fad. It's going to come and go. They've seen it come and go a long time. They're used to traditional methods, so it's a little difficult for them. But I found a lot of the issues are with the processes. They don't support agile, so you got to look at your organization. It's like trying to get that square through a round hole. If I hit that thing hard enough, it's probably going to come through the other end, but it's not going to look as good. So you want to make sure your organization supports it. Typical agile methodology, we use Scrum a lot. That's usually the big one that a lot of people use, and Kanban is another one. It's about operational throughput. But there's many to choose. You got to select the right one for your project and your customer as well. So a lot of people are used to the waterfall process. This is a good slide that represented the picture. It's the longer you go, the project gets more complex, bigger and bigger, and becomes harder to deliver. The risks usually go up because it's sequential. So typically, the team will go in, they'll do the requirements gathering, go into a hole of doing the development work, they do the testing, and then right at the end, they come up to you and say, here's what you got. This is what you wanted, and a lot of times, as we're finding out, it's not what you asked for. So what we're trying to do is the Agile approach, which is you take these large, complex projects and you break them down into smaller ones, incremental development. So you can see on the picture, we're breaking this one down here into what I call, we release it. So you're releasing functionality of your project. And what that does is continuous improvement. You're sending back to your customer, who has a seat at the table, by the way. This is a collaborative effort. So they're guiding the project along the way by prioritizing the backlog of requirements. So they're seeing these, they're demoing them throughout the project and providing that feedback. So it's really about a continuous cycle, a continuous improvement loop for the Agile process. But always break them down into smaller projects if you can. You're likely to get more successful. And this is from the standards group. They do a really good report, chaos report, about Agile. As you can see, 29% failure rate with Waterfall, 9% with Agile. And that number keeps improving every year. If you look historically, you'll see improvements as people become more efficient with Agile. But I just got some numbers. Small projects likely to be more successful by a factor of 10 and up to 30. So across all projects, Agile projects are 350% more likely to be successful. Huge projects, up to 600% more likely to be successful. And according to the standards group, the overall results clearly show that waterfall projects do not scale well, while Agile projects scale much better. That's usually a reverse thinking. People think, well, if it's going to be a large, complex project, I probably need to do a traditional waterfall method. But that's not been the case. The studies have shown that Agile scales much better than waterfall, and you're likely to have much more success. So typical Scrum project, you got your iterations. So this is your incremental development. These can be sprints or they can be releases. So you add up all these pebbles and stuff. This is your functionality. You add those together, and then what you're going to get is the rock over here. So the rock is your release. So he's sending out your release. This is your functionality that you're giving to the customer after just could be a month of work. So they're already getting that return on their investment already, and while the team is already starting work on the next release. And when they go on the next release, while the rock's out there providing feedback, the customers are using it, they're providing feedback to the project team. So if something needs to change, really the customer, they can change the priority of the backlog of work. So then on the next sprint, the project team can make those adjustments. And they're demoing all the work that they're doing during the sprint and doing the review at the end. So there's their constant feedback cycle. So it allows greater flexibility for the customer to change as it goes. And you can see here with the waterfall, look at the risk at the end. It gets higher and higher as you go through a waterfall project. And then maybe you'll get that what you wanted at the end, but the studies already show that you're more likely not to get what you wanted. As with the Agile project, it adds the functionality and the value increases, and the risk usually goes down as you go along as the teams become more proficient, and the feedback cycle of continuous improvement helps. So here's our project. This is our customer. We're going to do the most exciting birthday party ever. So what they want to do is they want to build a cake. That's the product. So we have to build this cake for them. So we're going to do it in an agile way instead of the traditional waterfall. And then so we have our product team. We have the guy in the black. He's the product owner. So he's the customer. They're part of the team to provide the feedback and direct the project along the way. And then we have the rest of our project teams there. So we're going to build this cake. Traditionally, we're going to put out this big cake, but we're going to break them down into releases. So each one of these represent a release of functionality that we're going to send out to our customers. So that's the approach we're going to take and build that way. So as we send these out to the customers, they can test it, they can use it. And we all seen this before. We get customers that say, hey, where's my value? What am I getting back for this? I've been waiting forever. With Agile, we're sending something out. Usually releases are just 2 or 3 sprints, no more than 6 months. So at the latest, each 6 months, usually 3 months, we're sending them something out to use. So that's what we're going to do here. The customer, we're going to say, okay, this is our first release. So you can come out and start testing that functionality. You start putting it in. It supports when you're going out to the organization for the training. They're training on a smaller piece as well instead of some large product at the end. So while they're out there using it, again, they're testing everything out, and they can make suggestions for future improvement. So you're going to constantly improve upon that functionality, and you're going to keep releasing and build upon that. Versus the traditional waterfall method, where you're going to be a guy sitting there waiting, saying, this project is over budget, scope creep is happening, I haven't seen anything for my investment yet. So that's a typical high-level overview. It's very hard to provide a extensive overview of Agile in 7.5 minutes, but we've learned a lot in our 3 years, so if anybody wants to connect with me, I can show you some of those stories that we've had with our Agile implementation. So thank you.